Good evening and welcome to the Haverhill Journal Live for Monday, May 4th, 2020. I'm Lindsay Paris and so glad to be back with you all. In an effort to keep you informed and connected to what's happening in Haverhill right now, HC Media will be bringing you the Haverhill Journal Live every Monday night at 7 p.m. during this stay-at-home period. We are live streaming on Channel 22 in Haverhill at haverhillcommunitytv.org and on the HC Media Facebook page. Tonight, I will be joined by Mayor Jim Fiorentini, Dugan Sherwood, President of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, and Barbara Donegan, Board President of Ruths House. Now, we'd like to welcome Haverhill Mayor Jim Fiorentini to hear more of the latest update on the pandemic in the city. Mayor Fiorentini, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Lindsay. It's always great to be on your show. I told you once I used to deliver the Haverhill Journal, and you're back again. Lindsay, there are right now there have been 643 cases in the city of Haverhill, and 11 new cases were reported today. 13 of them are believed to be hospitalized. We've lost 17 people, unfortunately. And as I say all the time, don't think of them as a number. Think of them as your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, because that's who we're losing. We have a 44% recovery rate, and that's good. And we expect that to reach 50% by the end of the week. Of the 643 cases, 141 were from residents of long-term facilities. A problem right now is in the long-term facilities and in the family infection. And let me explain that for just a minute. 74% of the infections that we're seeing come either from one family member infecting another or from somebody who either lives in or works in a long-term care facility. Only 26% are what's called community spread. So we're going to be concentrating our efforts, not all of our efforts, but we're going to be concentrating our efforts on figuring out better ways to get family members to isolate so that if one member of the family is infected, we do our best so the rest of the family doesn't get isolated. That's where we're seeing a lot of infections right now. And the state has really stepped up to the plate in working with our various nursing homes. The National Guard's been in there. The National Guard Medical Unit is testing everybody in the nursing homes, the staff, every resident. And we saw our numbers spike up for a little while, but and we will again once new numbers come in. But those are the two places we need to concentrate. I think most of the residents know that the governor is issuing an order starting Wednesday morning that if you're out in public and you can't socially distance, if you can't get further than 6 feet away, you must wear a mask. And you must wear a mask whenever you go into a store and go shopping. This is a minor inconvenience compared to the great benefit that it can provide. Masks are only about 50% effective, but they're 50% more effective than doing nothing. So that's where we are right now. I know there's a lot of talk about reopening. We're not there yet. It's the state and federal government that's going to decide when we reopen and how we reopen. And it's going to be a process. And the last thing we want to do is what might be happening in Germany right now, which is that you reopen a little too quickly, and then you have to close down. And you saw in California where they opened the beaches, they had to close them down again. So that's the last direction in the world we want to go in.
Right, of course, absolutely. Now that the mask wearing order does go into effect, I believe on Wednesday, will there be a way to enforce that here in Haverhill?
Well, it's our job. We had nothing to do with the mask order, although one of the stores put up a sign said you must wear a mask per order of Mayor Fiorentini. And that's okay. I get paid to take those hits. But it is our job to enforce it. I spoke with the Board of Health representatives this morning. They'll be going to every store and telling them to put up a sign that says no mask, no service. And our police officers and our Board of Health officials, if we see people, we're going to politely urge them that they need to wear a mask. It's the law. But the big enforcement will be by the stores. If you don't have a mask on, you won't get served.
Very good. Now, as you mentioned, in California, beaches have been reopened, Germany reopened, and then both closed down again. So does the city have any sort of plan at this point for the eventual reopening of businesses, whenever that may be?
Well, that'll be up to the state. What the state is going to do is set guidelines, and it'll be our job to enforce them. We'll have input into them, but it's going to be something like on some day, either on May 18th or June 1st maybe someday after that, they will give us a list of businesses that they'll say that can reopen, and very strict guidelines on that. And I know that this is going to cause a lot of hardship for a lot of businesses. If you look at the national guidelines, I posted them on my Facebook page today. If you look at what's happening in other cities, they're telling businesses to reopen, but with very strict social distancing. So restaurants, for example, are probably going to be cut down to 30 to 50% of their current occupancy. And that's a big, big problem for restaurants because they they can't pay their bills with 30 or 50% of the revenues that they're used to. Their mortgage is going to be the same. They have to pay the cook the same amount of money. That's going to be a big problem for them. And they're already reaching out to me. But that's unfortunate. But that's what we have to do to be safe. And at least that's what the state guidelines are going to be. Other
No,
businesses,
absolutely.
other businesses are going to be a little bit tougher. And what the state's going to do is get away from the essential versus non essential and go to a new category of safe versus unsafe. And they're going to ask us, I believe, they don't have the manpower to enforce them. We do, or they think we do. They're going to ask us to go out and see if a business is safe or not before they're allowed to open. And they will set the guidelines on what's safe and what isn't. I think the last thing that's going to be reopened are the mass event things. I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to cancel the Memorial Day parade and the July 4th events. The big bulk events will be the last to come around,
Yep,
unfortunately.
that's, movements that a lot of cities have been seeing, cancellations of big events, but, we're just keeping everybody safe and, that's what you guys are up to and it's
I
good.
feel
So,
awfully bad for the kids who are graduating from high school this year. For some
mhm,
kids, this is a really, really big day in their life. For other kids, it's nothing, but for some kids, it's a big deal. And
right.
I'm sorry we won't have it, but we'll do something to honor these great kids.
Right. I know plans are in the works for the high school graduates, so stay tuned for that. And of course, HC Media will be involved with the graduation as well. We're working on some sort of virtual project, so stay tuned. Last question for you, Mr. Mayor. The beautiful weather this weekend had a lot of folks out in their backyard doing some cleanup, and a lot of brush and leaves are piling up. So has the DPW yard reopened for the season?
It is. But first, I want to say it was a beautiful day. I went all around in my convertible. I drove around Saturday, Sunday, and today. And the people of Haverhill are really doing a great job. Wherever I go, I see people socially distancing. I see people with masks on. I see people staying in and around their houses. There are outlier exceptions, of course, primarily with kids who don't get it. But overall, the people of Haverhill have done a fantastic job. That's why our numbers are dropping. And that's why we're on a path where at some point we hope soon we'll be able to reopen. The first thing to reopen was the city DPW yard. Actually, it didn't have anything to do with reopening. It just took us a while. We wanted to get over the surge, and we wanted to be certain that our employees all had the proper equipment. We had proper procedures in place. For right now, it's reopened, but only with an appointment. Just go on to havelrecycles.com, the City of Haverhill website, and you'll see a link. Make an appointment. It's really, really easy, and then go up during the appointment. Once we get through that, once we get past the surge of people that we know have been waiting all spring, then we'll eliminate the appointments. First, we'll eliminate them on Monday through Friday. Saturday's always a big day, and we don't want to have a big crowd of people. Eventually, we'll eliminate the appointment system on Saturday too. We know that's an inconvenience, but we have great employees in the city. We have to keep them safe too.
Excellent. Well, the appointment system is a great way to do social distancing, keep everybody safe, and we can get rid of our yard refuse at the same time. So,
We're
so glad
hoping,
to have you on. Yeah,
thank
go
you.
ahead.
We're hoping to reopen City Hall as soon as the governor lifts the emergency order, which right now is scheduled for May 28th. And we're going to have a number of procedures. I'm setting up a reopening committee to talk about that. And we'll have some procedures there too to make certain that our employees are a great group of people, that our employees are safe. Serving the public is important. Keeping our employees safe is job one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So glad to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You can stay up to date with the mayor by subscribing to his blog at jimfiorentini.wordpress.com or reading his daily update posts at the Haverhill News page on Facebook. Now, as the business shutdown is extending into its eighth week, small businesses and restaurants in the city continue to feel the pinch. The Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce has been working with these businesses to provide support and advice. Dugan Sherwood, president of the Chamber of Commerce, is here with us now to talk about these efforts. Dugan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lindsay.
So, now, what have you been hearing from small businesses in the city on the ground lately, and how are they coping with the shutdown?
And thanks again for having me on. It's good to be on with Barbara and Mr. Mayor. Everybody's been whiplashed by this over the past 2 months. I think that small businesses in particular, they have been devastated by this. There's probably no better way to say it. I will say that most of the businesses have figured out a short-term solution for themselves with the focus is really on survival. The state and federal assistance programs have really come in, I think, quickly and been very helpful. I want to recognize the community banks in Haverhill that have done incredible work processing CARES Act funding for so many small businesses in Haverhill. It's really been a testament to how valuable these organizations are in this community. So, I think that the general message is that, restaurants, other retail businesses, they really, they have been, if not entirely sidelined, in a position where they have to, reduce their business, something like somewhere between 50 and 75%, if not more. I will say this, I'm really delighted to see so many businesses surviving, keeping open. I hope everybody in Haverhill has enjoyed and partaken in some of the restaurants that have stayed open. I think some of the businesses that have closed, we can expect them to open back up. And they've closed. It's a strategic decision, not that they're going out of business, which is, again, wonderful because survival is really the key. But a lot of businesses have really, I think, benefited very much from the fact that people are still taking out food, and that's really important. And I think that everybody in Haverhill who's participated in going and still getting takeout from restaurants are doing a really good thing for their community.
Absolutely, I agree. And so happy that a lot of restaurants, had closed down. Some of them have opened back up. Some have stayed open throughout the entire 8-week period. But I'm getting out there and supporting them. I know a lot of my friends are, and I encourage everybody because, they're still there making great food, and hey, get out of cooking for the evening.
Absolutely.
I know the Chamber has initiated several great programs to help local businesses over the past 8 weeks, including your very successful Dollars for Dollars restaurant program. You had the hashtag Haverhill Local program to support small businesses, and yesterday's Haverhill Picnic. So we also have a roll-in of the Haverhill Picnic, which we'll show you later on. But tell us a little bit more about the Chamber's programs.
Yeah, so on our end, we have great partnership at the state level, primarily with our state representatives, Representative Vargas, Dean Campbell, Minicucci, and of course, State Senator Diana DeZoglio. Our Congresswoman Lori Trahan is doing everything that she can at the federal level. And of course, you've got the mayor at City Hall running the show over there. So my focus for our chamber has been to really be focused on the ground and to try to do more than just be a conduit of information for the other, what our state and federal leaders are doing in terms of offering assistance. We're still doing that, but I really felt like there was an opportunity for us to do more. And the focus is cash. It's putting dollars in the pockets of these small businesses that have been sidelined or shuttered completely. So we created two big programs. One began with restaurants because they were the ones to be closed first. We raised almost $30,000. A good chunk of that came from the mayor and the City Hall. And I'm very grateful for their support. And we created a restaurant program where for every dollar you bought of a gift card, the chamber would match it. So if you spent $50, you get a $100 gift card. And between our fundraising and the contributions of customers, $60,000 plus went into the pockets of local restaurants. And that was a program that's really been amazing. We've got actually chambers of commerce from places, a number of different chambers of commerce from all over the country reached out to us. And I think that they are modeling a similar program because of the success that we saw, which is really, really awesome. The program is on hold. We need more money. So let this also be a call to the community. You can go to we have a GoFundMe page that you can find from our website, haverhillchamber.com. We did two weeks ago, we did turn our attention from restaurants to really focus on all the other mom and pop businesses in Haverhill, all the salons and yoga studios and gyms and nurseries and really everything in between that can no longer operate or operate normally. And we are giving anybody who goes and buys something from a participating business, we knock 25% off your price right there up to a $100 purchase. And that program has been going on for a couple of weeks, and we're calling it #HaverhillLocal. So these are just efforts on our part to put cash right in the pockets of local business owners.
Awesome. Fantastic. And, I've been following it. And like you said, it was a huge success, the Dollars for Dollars program, and also #HaverhillLocal have gotten a lot of traction, and very impressive that you're getting other chambers of commerce coming in and asking more questions about it. But we do actually have a roll-in. HC Media's Cassie Elson went out on the town yesterday for the Haverhill Picnic, which was sponsored by the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. And we have a little video there. So guys in the control room, we're going to roll that in right now.
Hello everyone, my name is Elaine Barker from Paper Potpourri. We're so excited to be here. We have a nice lunch here. We have a nice tray from Kristen Carboni's Kitchen in Bradford, and some smoothies from Sweet Affair, and cookies from Albies, and coffee from Heavenly Donuts.
Hi, I'm Kristen Carboni of Carboni's Kitchen.
Hi, my name is Jen. I'm an owner of a Sweet Affair in Bradford here.
The picnic day has been really great. There's great weather for it. It's been perfect. We did a really nice tray and display for Miss Elaine Barker. She seems to be very happy with it. It looked great with her Victorian picnic. The chamber has been great between little events like this and implementing the dollar for dollar, which gift card program with a huge help. They've been really supportive, and we really feel lucky to be part of an organization like that.
Well, I think it's great that the chamber comes up with these things to do, to help out the small businesses, especially at this time. So I figured I'm going to go out there and do my part to help out. And on a beautiful day like this, how could you ask for anything more? What a great day for having a picnic on your own front lawn.
So I'm Jenny Arndt. I'm the campaign director for Haverhill Promise, and I also live here in Haverhill. I've been a resident my whole life, and I love the Haverhill Chamber. I love all these great initiatives they've been doing. I got myself some Sparky's wings, and my daughter had an acai bowl from a Sweet Affair. And yeah, we just sat out and enjoyed the beautiful weather, talked to some neighbors and some other people that have walked by and asked what we were up to.
That was shot again by our own Cassie Elson. She made sure she was socially distancing while she went out and shot that yesterday, but it was a great day to be out having a picnic in the city. So Dugan, the move to reopen business continues to gain traction across the country. How are the local business owners you've spoken with thinking about reopening? And will the chamber be providing any extra help or support for these businesses when they do reopen?
Yeah, the questions that I've been asking the mayor for the past 2 weeks are the questions that I think just about everybody are, which is, when are we going to open? When can we talk about it? How's it going to happen? So I think until we get some direction, I don't want to sugarcoat this. There's real concern around, how we're going to do this, what limitations they're going to be. I think that for the most part, people are comfortable with masks and being sanitized in ways that none of us were used to prior to COVID-19, and I think we're all prepared for that. But the state requirements that are going to limit access into primarily restaurants and into smaller stores, I think that there's a lot of concern for that. I know that some of the larger businesses, such as those in Ward Hill in manufacturing, are going to be very much concerned about the requirements for how they can operate. I haven't heard as much concern from professional services, banks, office buildings, places like where I work at the iHub. I think that we have a level of flexibility and an ability to work remotely that has been less disruptive. So I think it really is the small retail focused businesses that are really concerned about not only when, but how and to what extent will they be limited. And we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm as anxious about this as anybody else. But if we find out that restaurants have, and this is a number I'm just picking out of thin air, 50% the number of tables that they can have because they need to move everything around, that is going to severely limit the ability for a restaurant to stay solvent and to remain open. So that's the gloomy part, and I want us to be prepared for information that comes out that's going to require us to really be innovative. And that's what I do believe is that, at the risk of sounding overly rosy, I do really believe that we as a community, I think it's something uniquely American, is this resilient entrepreneurial innovation. We will figure it out. And of course, I don't know what the answer. I don't know what the answers are because I don't know what the questions are yet. But there is something that I think about this community in particular, where we're gonna figure this out. We'll figure this out together. I know that across the country, there's businesses on every corner that are in the same situation. But one of the things that I've been trying to do at the chamber is to think not only about that and to be, how can I be useful to a restaurant, pick one, G's or Casablanca or Maria's, that's going to have some new limitations on the number of meals they can serve every night. So those are real issues that we're worried about. And I'm not sure what I can do as a Chamber of Commerce. And so that's something that I'm really thinking hard about and waiting for information as it comes out. But I also want to challenge us as a community to think about this as an opportunity. I think that we really do need to think deeply about what current economic trends exist in the world today. The rate of change in the economy is something that seems to get faster and faster every year. And I think Haverhill has to think differently in some respects and be willing to be more creative in its ability to experiment and really focus on doing things and being open to different things. And I'll throw one example out that might be a bad idea. And that would be opening up some of our downtown streets on an interim basis for people to, closing Washington Street down on occasion, one night in the summer, once a week. I'm not sure what the right answer is, but just to experiment and allow people to increase pedestrian traffic in downtowns. That's a trend that other cities have experimented with to a lot of success. The last thing, go ahead. I was just going to say
a lot of innovation, and it's amazing the way that people have innovated. I think during this time, 8 weeks ago, people were saying, how's my business going to survive? Yet we've seen some amazingly creative new initiatives happening at businesses in Haverhill and other towns as well.
Totally. I'm so proud to be a part of this community, and I'm a relative newcomer. I've only been here for a couple of years, but some of the business owners here, I have so much respect for. They're overcoming the adversity. I can't imagine the fear of the courage it takes to start a small business, whether it's a hair salon or a restaurant or anything else, a yoga studio, you name it. And then for them to be riddled with these challenges and to overcome that is just impressive. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm choosing to be positive about our ability to overcome this. And I also think that we've worked hard as a city to get resources into downtown, which are really going to be, I think, important anchors for our future. And I'll call the two out in particular, and that's UMass Lowell's presence in Haverhill and Northern Essex, or Northern Essex is moving into the new Salapoli building with a culinary program. We should really make education a priority across the board. And the fact that we have higher education in downtown Haverhill, that is I believe one of the ways in which we can be more innovative is to bring higher education into our downtowns in other ways, starting with a culinary program and UMass Lowell, who's been here for a couple of years, but really just starting to understand how to be useful and how to be active in the Haverhill community. So I really feel like we've done some good things by getting them involved.
It's all about the creativity, about bringing in these new groups, the education of the colleges, and it's bringing all kinds of new life into downtown as well. Anyway, Dugan, thank you so much for joining us, Dugan Sherwood of the Chamber of Commerce, and
Thank you, Lindsay.
have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Finally, our last guest tonight is Barbara Donegan, Board President of Ruths House, the Haverhill-based thrift store and charity. Ruth's House has continued to work providing support for their clients in need, despite facing new challenges due to the shutting down of their shop. On top of that, Ruth's House is also helping other Merrimack Valley charities in need, which we are going to hear a bit about right now. Barbara, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate the time to catch everybody up on what's going on at Ruth's House.
Well, we know that Ruth's House provides a very important service for its clients, and although the Ruth's House storefront is closed, you're still finding ways to get your clients the clothing and the supplies that they need now more than ever. So tell us more about what you've been doing during this time.
So what happened is we closed for over a month, and we applied for the small business PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, and received it. And because we did, I had a few questions about how to go forward with some things. So I consulted with one of our local attorneys, and he told me he wanted to do a little research and came back and said, I really think that you are an essential service and can open. And then I consulted with the health inspector here in Haverhill and found out last Friday he agrees with that. So so we are going to institute being able to book appointments for people who are in need of our services for clothing, to issue clothing vouchers. We are not going to open as a thrift shop, only to provide clothing. And we have made some contacts because we feel, we have felt like, well, how can we help when we were still closed? When one of our board members contacted a shelter, a very large shelter really over in Lawrence called Casa Nuevo. And so Wednesday, it looks like we're going to be providing clothing to 45 children over there, along with, we're able to provide them with brand new socks and underwear, which of course, is a very basic necessity. And not just the clothing, but also shoes they have requested for every child. And we also have a lot of children's books. So we're going to be donating some children's books to them. And I've also been in touch with the Haverhill Promise Campaign Executive Director, Jenny Arnett. And we're going to see if there's a way for us to donate more children's books to be somehow distributed throughout Haverhill, because these children, of course, are going to be out of school now all summer. And we get so many donated to Ruth's House. They're not doing us any good sitting on the shelf.
Absolutely. And the children need them, like you said, now more than ever. Libraries are closed, schools are closed. And also, I know Casa Nueva Vida is very, very grateful. They put out the call for donation of children's clothing, and you guys have answered it. And I understand you've also received a call for donations from Holy Family Hospitals in Methuen and Haverhill as well.
Yes, we have. One of the chaplains at the hospitals, it's Holy Family Methuen and Holy Family Haverhill. Apparently, they have a lot of patients in their behavioral units who come in with inadequate clothing and do not have family members to provide them what they need. So out of the blue one day, I got an email from him. He had been trying to get some help from stores, he said, and they weren't getting anywhere, and said, is there any way Ruth's House can help us? So I said, if we can, we certainly would want to do that. So they are in the process of putting together a list that they think is what their patients need, and we should know soon, and we will provide them whatever we can. We are currently not taking any donations right now, but we have boxes in our parking lot, big Planet Aid boxes that people can put their clothing and soft fabric donations and shoes into. And we're going to see if we can come up with a plan to safely start accepting donations again in a short while, because if we are going to be having families come in for clothing appointments, we're going to need more clothing, because right now we're clearing out all our winter clothing, we're disinfecting the entire store, getting everything ready so that we can, meet all the requirements and follow all the protocols. We don't want to endanger our staff, of course, nor anybody that comes in for clothing.
Now, if someone does have clothing to donate, are those boxes outside the store, are they open now, or would it be best for them to hold on to their donations for now?
They're open now, but we would ask if you've got some great summer clothing to donate to us, our clients are going to need that. So if you're able to, wait maybe a couple more weeks, maybe even a little bit less. We just want to set up a plan for how we'll accept things and make sure that they are safe to put out. We're going to need those clothes, especially for children. These kids keep growing, and they need the clothes.
All right. Well, we'll clear out our children's closets, look for summer clothes, and bring them down to Ruth's house. Thank you so much, Barbara, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you also to the Ruth's House staff for continuing its invaluable work to help those in need. Yes. And that is our show for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. As always, keep watching HC Media for up-to-date information, public service announcements, series programs, and more. I'll be back next Monday at 7 p.m. with another live Haverhill Journal with more great guests. I'm Lindsay Paris. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and stay safe. Good night.